A federal judge ruled on Wednesday that the U.S. government bears responsibility for migrants it detains, regardless of whether they have undergone formal processing. This decision came amid a surge of migrant crossings from Mexico into Southern California, overwhelming local detention facilities and leaving thousands camping in the desert for days. In the case of Flores v. Garland, civil rights groups sued on behalf of migrant children living in these camps, citing inhumane conditions. While the U.S. Border Patrol did not dispute the inadequate conditions, it argued that the court lacked jurisdiction because the agency hadn't formally processed the children. Judge Dolly G. of the U.S. District Court of Central California rejected this argument. Despite the agency's intent, the situation had evolved to the point where the minors held in these camps were under its legal custody, necessitating the agency's responsibility for their care. Central to the case was the precedent set by Flores v. Sessions, establishing the Department of Homeland Security's responsibility to provide housing for all minors detained in its legal custody. Judge G emphasized that formal processing was irrelevant. The children were effectively detained in fenced areas, subject to the agency's decision-making authority over their well-being. The court found that Customs and Border Protection, CBP, largely controlled the provision of necessities, such as drinking water, hand-washing stations, portable toilets, and dumpsters at the camping sites. However, these facilities were poorly maintained, with overflowing dumpsters and dirty hand-washing stations reported by volunteers. The conditions at these camps were harsh, with extreme temperatures and minimal shelter. Volunteer groups struggled to provide adequate food, clothing, and sanitation services, unable to keep up with the overwhelming demand. Migrants received insufficient sustenance, with only 1 bottle of water and 1 pack of crackers per day, falling short of national standards for detention. Moreover, the inadequate sanitation facilities led to unsanitary conditions, forcing migrants to relieve themselves outdoors. Judge G concluded that these conditions violated the government's obligation under the Flores Decree to maintain safe and sanitary facilities for minors. The court also criticized CBP for delays in processing migrants, warning that further remedial measures would be imposed if expedited processing wasn't ensured. Despite declining to set a specific deadline, Judge G emphasized the urgency of processing minors promptly. In summary, the court's ruling underscored the government's responsibility to ensure the well-being of detained migrants, regardless of formal processing, and highlighted the urgent need for improved conditions and expedited processing procedures.